Davis steps under center. Gibson and McClendon behind him. Davis with motion by Richard. Will give the ball to McClendon. He leaps. Oh, he doesn't get in. He fumbled the football. Carolina holds. The game is over. And Carolina has won the game.
Finley to throw. Over the middle, intercepted. Wolford again. Wolford the other way at the 30, the 40. Wolford to midfield. Miles Wolford with the pick. The heels on the doorstep of an enormous victory.
Left side of the line. Hood standing to Williams' right. Williams gonna throw. One-on-one. Davis has it. Touchdown. Carolina wins. Carolina is the Coastal Division champion. Bernard fields it at the 26. Heading to the far side. Gio at the 35. Gio is at the 50. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Gio is going to take it for a touchdown. Are you kidding me? Connor Barth for the possible win. Snap, spot, kick away, high enough, long enough. It's good! It's good! Carolina has won the game on a 42-yard field goal by freshman Connor Barth. Good gosh, dirty.
This is the Heel Tough Blog Podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome in to another edition of the Heel Tough Blog Podcast. It's your host, as always, Anthony Pagnotta, and tonight we are being joined by a former Tar Heel running back, a guy that we talked to last offseason, but a lot has happened to him since that time, and we have to welcome him back in. It's former Tar Heel running back Antonio Williams. And first of all, look, Antonio, when we talked to you last time, man, it wasn't quite as crazy as the times are now. We were just getting into COVID and didn't quite know exactly where everything was going, but we sit here and still in the midst of a pandemic. So how has the family been holding up and everything during this time?
Hey, man, glad to be back for sure. But, yeah, my family's been good. Fortunately, we've been safe during this time, and nobody's been affected by it, close to me. So, I'm happy about that. But I know it's affected so many people around the world. So always keeping them people in my thoughts and prayers. But, yeah, man, we're doing well.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Well, yeah, you definitely have been doing well since the last time that you were here on the podcast. You spent the year with the Buffalo Bills this year. So, first of all, what was that experience like being a part of, a team that I think really surprised a lot of people around the NFL with just how successful they were this season?
It was extremely fun, man. All the guys on the team, they're cool guys. We didn't really have any egos. I know we had some big-time players in Diggs and Josh and other guys, but, there were no big egos on the team, man, and we all just wanted to play ball, and that's what we did. We had fun, and, unfortunately, we didn't make it to the Super Bowl and win it like we wanted to, but we had a great run, man, and taking Buffalo back to the AFC Championship, first time in a long time, that was always great, and just being able to do that,
Yeah, well, Josh Allen definitely had a huge year. And, you talked about that a little bit the last time that you were on here. How great was it to see a guy that's as good as Josh Allen is to his teammates and everything like that have the success that he did this season, especially after all that we heard about him after his first 2 years in the league?
Anytime you got a guy that just does things the right way and represents the team right, represents the organization right, you always want to see him be successful. And he did that, and, I'm just happy for him, man. I'm excited to see where he continues to go with his career. I'm sure he's about to sign a big contract because I believe his rookie deal is up. So, I'm excited for him, man, and I know he'll just get better as time goes.
Yeah, well, you weren't on the active roster as much as you probably would have liked, but you were able to get there late in the season. So I have to ask you, playing inside of that stadium that was empty, what was that feeling like? Because I don't think it's anything that anyone can imagine. I mean, even some of these college campuses, they have smaller stadiums. I'd imagine it was pretty weird stepping into Orchard Park and not hearing a soul inside of that stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely different, man. It kind of seemed like a a live scrimmage. That's really what it seemed like. But at the same time, it's the NFL, so you got really good players out on the field at the time. So, you gotta play good and do what you usually do. But, having that absence of the fans definitely had an impact because obviously Buffalo has some of the best fans in all the NFL, and they definitely impact the game. So we missed those guys this year, but hopefully they'll be back next season and we can continue this great run that we had.
Well, you had a fantastic game to end the season against the Miami Dolphins in the 56-26 blowout win. You saw your first action in the NFL and it turned it into some impressive numbers. 12 carries, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. What was going through your head when you were on the field and started seeing the success that you were having against a Miami Dolphins team that, towards the end of the season was still battling for a potential playoff spot?
It's exciting, man. But, as a guy that prepares the way that I prepare and, I'm always ready for those type of opportunities, I expected nothing less from myself. So going out there and just doing what I knew I could do, it felt good, especially to be on the field at the NFL level, achieving that dream that you chased since you were a child. But no, it was exciting, man. And to be able to do it with such a great group of guys on the Bills, it was definitely fun.
Well, before you signed back on with the Buffalo Bills, there was a little bit of time where you were a free agent. So you went back and were on the staff with Mac Brown and the guys as an assistant. What was that experience like, especially with COVID? I imagine it was definitely a little bit different. But, what was that experience like for you being able to come back and help coach up some of the guys that you were just playing with last season?
Yeah, that was fun too, man. It's definitely something that, there's a possibility for me to be a coach in the future. So, I set that up for myself. And anytime you can do things like that, in the midst of adversity for yourself to, set things up in the future, I think you got to take advantage of that. And that's what I tried to do. But it was fun seeing how that side of the game goes and all the meetings and working on the computer, getting films cut up. And it was definitely taxing, but I enjoyed it because I never lost touch with the game, and that's the biggest thing when you're a free agent, I believe. Mm-hmm. You never want to lose touch with the game because it's hard to keep pushing and be ready whenever that time comes when you call back on the team.
Well, I'd like to think that your impact was the reason that Michael Carter and Javonte Williams had so much success this season. What was that like sitting at home on Saturdays and seeing those guys have as much success as they did this season, combining to be one of the best tandems in program history and being, even put up with some of the names like, the tandem at USC back in 2005 with Reggie Bush and Lendell White with what they did?
Yeah, man, to be able to brag on the guys that you play with while you're in the NFL, that's a great feeling, man. And just continue to hype those guys up, allow people to see what I've seen my entire time I was at UNC. For them to be able to go out there and do it, and to both of them going over 1,000 yards and having an incredible season. It's exciting to watch, man. And, I'm so happy for those guys. I know they're going to continue to do great things at the NFL level, and hopefully we compete against each other. You never know. We may end up on the same team, but either way, I'm so happy for those guys, and I just hope that they continue to have success.
Yeah, one of the guys that I had on my podcast last week, AJ Schultz from the Pro Football Network, he actually had Javonte joining you in Buffalo. So that could be interesting, something to keep an eye on going forward. But look, man, you've got another venture that you've gotten into. I think, the focus of former Tar Heels that have gotten into NASCAR, you had Brad Doherty do it a while back. This year you have Michael Jordan do it at the Cup level, but you've also invested in a NASCAR team. It's an Xfinity Series team. The driver is Joe Graff Jr. So tell me a little bit about how that sort of worked out and why you decided that you wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, man. Well, I grew up watching NASCAR with my granddad and, being a guy from 40 minutes north of Charlotte. So, Charlotte's kind of the big headquarters for NASCAR. A lot of NASCAR goes on up there. I grew up watching it and never missed any races with my grandfather. In August, he actually passed away, and that kind of motivated me in honor of him to pursue a job in NASCAR. And when I did that, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And luckily, me and Joe actually share a sports psychologist. So we have that connection, and it kind of took off from there. I let it be known that I wanted to get involved with NASCAR, and a business director of his team actually contacted me. We ended up getting dinner, and things kind of took off from there. And now I'm on pace to to continue to progress in this world of NASCAR. You know, my goal is to own a NASCAR team, and I think it's extremely close, way closer than I actually anticipated. So that's something that I'm going to continue to push forward, and another opportunity for me to be successful in the future.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I bet you got to be happy. What were you thinking on Saturday watching? He actually had a fantastic run in I forget what the sponsor was, the 300 race in the Xfinity Series at Daytona. What did you think about his run in the first race of the season, and how excited are you for the future with him?
Yeah, Joe did amazing in the bucked up Camaro. His driving was phenomenal, man. He avoided 4 different wrecks, and you know, we had a shot at finishing in the top 10 in that last lap, and that's all you want. You want to have a shot, and we actually finished 11th. You know, we thought we had a push on the bottom with some of the other Chevy cars, and he went down, and the guys on top kind of got a run late, and that's what ended up making us finish 11th. But still, even with that place, that's his highest placement. He's gotten in the Xfinity Series. And you know, Joe, I watched him, some film on him, and I looked at all the numbers before I made that decision. And what I saw in Joe was continual progression. And as a guy that's you know, eventually wants to own a team, I have to look at things like that. And he's a younger guy. He has so much potential. I thought it was a great opportunity with our connections, with his potential, and with what I wanted to do in NASCAR. I thought it was great for us to go ahead and make that happen. And we did it, and now we're working on getting some even bigger sponsors. Bucked Up had us in a great car, and that gave us an opportunity to win that race. So we're just going to keep going up, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I don't think it's any coincidence that he had his best finish in that car. Like I said, Javante and Michael have to thank you for everything, all the success this season. So I think Joe definitely knows he's got an owner that's getting him going in the right direction. But no, it's great to know that we have multiple guys that we can root for at all the different levels of NASCAR now. Definitely be pulling for him for the rest of the season, and wishing you the best of success, man. I think that you've definitely got a chance in Buffalo to make something happen as well on the field, and you seem to be doing great stuff off the field as well, man. So always excited to talk to you. Definitely hope to talk to you a little bit more down the line here in the coming years about the success of yourself on the field and some of your ventures off the field. But for now, take care, and we'll talk to you later. All right, man?
Hey, love being on the show, man, and I appreciate you having me back.
All right, Antonio, you take care, man, all right?
All right, man.
All right, that is Antonio Williams, former Tar Heel running back, a current partial team owner for Joe Graff Jr. in the Xfinity Series. So if you guys are NASCAR nuts, make sure you guys check that out. He is really setting himself up to have a lot of success. I mean, as you heard, he definitely is setting himself up to potentially have a career in coaching. That was the reason why he got into doing some of the assistant coaching this offseason. Now he's setting himself up to potentially own a NASCAR team. It's just great to see these guys having so much success, and he's a great guy. I always love having him on the podcast. So we'll of course be doing some more of these types of interviews as we get further into the offseason. I just wanted to get Antonio on after the first race weekend in Daytona, especially with the success that his driver saw. I felt like this was a great time to do that. But as we go further into the season, we're going to try to do like we did last year, get a bunch of former Tar Heels on during sort of that summer dead period. This year, of course, it won't be as dead because we are, at least at the moment, anticipating that we will have some sort of spring practice this year. Now, again, none of that stuff has been outlined yet by the NCAA. It's kind of a wait-and-see thing, but as of right now, it looks like it's going to be relatively normal. So we'll have you covered. And where are we going to have you covered? The HeelToughBlog.com. That's where we've had you covered for everything in season and here in the off-season so far. Again, this past week on the website, normally we would put out our weekly storylines. Not really a whole lot to talk about this past week. So we kind of let that one go. We're going to push it over to next week, kind of double up on the weeks there, try to get you a few more storylines there, because we felt like one or two storylines really wasn't worth you opening up the article and reading. We want to give you a little bit of an action-packed article there for you guys to read. But we do have some other great stuff that'll be coming out on the football side of things. The one article that I wrote last week on the football side side of things that you guys definitely want to check out. I rank the super seniors returning from 5 to 1. That is pretty in-depth, so make sure you guys go back and check that out. And then the other thing that I do want you guys to check out on the website coming up is on the baseball side of things. We're going to have an in-depth preview for the upcoming baseball season. The Tar Heels get ready to kick that one off, or I guess first pitch would be how you would say that, will be on Saturday against James Madison. So that snuck up pretty quickly, but the Diamond Heels are back under new head coach Scott Forbes. So we're going to have you covered throughout the season on them. Again, it's going to be similar to what we did last year, where it's going to be a weekend recap, a week recap, really, because they will play some games in the middle of the week. But we're not going to go as in-depth as we do for basketball or for football. So you won't quite get a recap after every game, stuff like that, but it'll still give you enough content on the website if you are a fan of the Diamond Heels. And then, of course, on the court, the Tar Heels just added a game against Northeastern. When this podcast is playing, that game will just be getting ready to tip off. So make sure that you guys are checking that out. We'll, of course, have you covered with the recap. Sarah Wiley had you covered with the preview. She'll be doing the previews for the rest of the year for us. She's been doing a fantastic job, a great addition to the staff here at the Heel Tough Blog. And then we'll have you covered all the way through, and if they make the tournament or if they don't make the tournament. Either way, we'll have you covered as Carolina sits right on the bubble as of right now. They have a couple of key games coming up that we'll be taking you through as well in the Louisville and Syracuse games on the website. So make sure you guys go there, HeelToughBlog.com, and check it out. As for the podcast, make sure that you guys like and follow the Facebook page. That's so you'll be able to get a notification whenever we do post a new edition of the podcast. One big thing, we do want you guys to, if you're listening to the podcast, to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Rating and reviewing helps move us up some of those rankings on those websites. So when they search North Carolina Tar Heels podcast, Tar Heels, whatever, they'll see our podcast. If they haven't subscribed to it yet, if they haven't listened to any episodes yet, they'll be able to go in and listen to those episodes of the podcast. And then the last thing that we want to tell you guys is to subscribe. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the podcast so that you can get every edition right in your podcast library. That means whenever we put out a new edition, just like this one, all the other ones that we're going to be doing going forward, including some of those big interviews that I was talking about later in the off season, you won't miss any of those. It'll be right in your podcast player. So that'll do it for this edition of the Heel Tough Blog podcast. Once again, want to thank Antonio Williams for stopping by. Want to thank you guys for listening, and as always, go Tar Heels!